we're going to begin. My name is Ryan Korstange. I'm a Director of Academic Affairs here at THEC. And first of all, let me just say thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to join us. We know everything is busy right now, and we appreciate your interest and commitment to open education. Open Education Week is an annual celebration that's organized by OE Global, and it provides an opportunity for actively sharing and learning about the latest achievements in open education worldwide. At THEC, we're really interested and we're committed to increasing the number of Tennesseans with a post-secondary credential. We recognize that high textbook costs pose significant barriers to students, and that open education and open educational resources remove those barriers and create student-centered, current and relevant learning environments. And so it's something that we're very interested in learning about and sharing throughout the state. Today, we have the opportunity to learn about a Z degree program at Motlow State Community College. And I'm not going to say anything more about it because I don't want to steal our speaker's thunder. But there are 10 events this week. We had 2 yesterday, 2 today, and 2 each of the following days this week. 10 a.m. and 1 p.m. Central, we're hosting webinars on a variety of open education or open educational resources topics. I will post a link into the chat, I'll just do it right now, that includes information about the whole schedule, including the presentations that were yesterday. Recordings of these events will come out next week sometime, and we'll distribute them through various channels. You can find out more about open education and textbook affordability in Tennessee by joining our listserv. To join our listserv, email the address academic.programs@tn.gov. It's in the chat that I just posted, and we'll add you to the listserv. You can also keep track of open happenings in Tennessee by creating an account on the Tennessee Open Education Hub. And there's a link to a document that leads you through the process of creating an account and joining the group. You need to join the group that's called Tennessee Open Education Information, and that will help you stay up to date with what we're doing. Okay, one final matter of logistics. This is a webinar format. So when you have questions, please just feel free to type them in the chat. We don't have a Q&A for this proposal. This presentation, we kept everything together in the chat. I'll be monitoring the chat along with my colleague, Julie Roberts. And so we'll have time for questions at the end of the presentation, but as we're going, feel free to type questions that you have into the chat. We'll notice those and we'll bring those up at the end during the question and answer period. So with that, I'm going to mute my video and turn it over to Tracey for the rest of our presentation. Thank you for being here.
All right. Good morning, everybody. I'm going to share my screen here. 1 second. All right. All right. Hope everybody can see this. My name is Tracey Lee, and I'm an assistant professor of business and technology at Motlow State Community College. And today we're going to talk about the Z degree. So OER at Motlow is not a new idea. We currently have approximately 50 courses in OER, and I really think that number has gone up a little bit. We had a big push, in the summer of 20, and a lot of our instructors across disciplines started to create OER courses, especially in our general education courses. During that time, we created around 16 general education courses. So this is not new at Motlow, and it's still growing, and we're looking forward to more OER courses being offered. So what is a Z degree? Simply stated, a program that has no additional cost for course materials. So of course, that's textbooks and or any type of software. The idea of the Z degree started around 2018, and we finalized it around 2019. So it's still a concept for us that we're tweaking and trying to make better, but again, finalized around 2019. So currently, we offer the Z degree in two concentrations under the A.A.S in business. And the concentrations are the Business Office and Entrepreneurship. So, as with anything, there is a little bit of a twist to the Z degree because we can only offer the Z degree in the Adult College Express program. So, at Motlow, we call this program A.A.S. So, what is A.A.S? A.A.S is geared towards our adult learners, and that's for 24 years and up. They do have to apply to get into A.A.S. Now, we do make exceptions, and I put rare there because, we don't get a lot, but every now and then we do have students that may not meet that age requirement, but they could be a good fit for the program. So we do coordinate with the A.A.S coordinator to see, if the student is a good fit or not. But for those who are 24 years and up, when they go online and they apply, they can be sent an automatic application. Whereas, if you don't meet that age requirement, there is a conversation that has to be had with the student to make sure they are a good fit. The population is mostly our busy working adults. So the A.A.S courses are an accelerated, it's an accelerated program, right? So the courses run in 5 weeks, which of course is different than a full 15-week semester. The classes are a lot smaller. And so pre-COVID, right? We do pre and post-COVID now. Pre-COVID, we were on ground one night. Typically, I think it was like 5 to 9:30. And I remember my classes. The last time I taught one on ground, I had like 5 in one room, and then we had another campus that could we could all Zoom in together. And so overall, I think I had about 6 or 7 students. So now, of course, we say on ground, but on ground, online too. So we are trying to, of course, get our traffic back to be back on ground a little bit more, especially for the A.A.S courses. Classes run in a 2-year rotation, and that's a very important factor into the Z degree. The classes are pre-built, or the schedules are pre-built. And if the student is able to follow the pre-built schedule, they will be able to graduate in 2 years. So when students are entered into A.A.S, they are considered to be in what we would call a cohort, right? But the cohorts are flexible because sometimes we do have students that may be allowed to enter into A.A.S, but maybe they just want to take a couple of classes. So we will allow that to happen. Sometimes cohorts may be a group of 3 students, and maybe they're all from a particular business, and they want to stay together and kind of, go through the program together. But there is definitely some flexibility as to when, especially in fall and spring, depending on when we're offering the courses. But the goal is for the students to stay on track again, so that they do meet the 2-year graduation from the pre-built schedule. I want to show you, I'm going to go back for a second. So I'm going to show you the next cohort schedule, but I'll probably do that at the end. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the schedule that's been built, starting for the group that comes in 2022, and they should, of course, finish in 2024. But all of this, of course, is on the Motlow State website, if anybody would ever like to go out there and take a peek. But I'll come back to that again because I'll have to share my window on that. So how are materials kept Z? And I always say the Z equals 0. So we're able to do that in 2 ways. So remember, this is only for the A.A.S program, not the full 15-week program. So one way is the creation of the OER courses. So those courses, of course, are created by faculty. Free accessible materials within the course shell, and they can use many different things, as you know, articles, videos, open books, podcasts, etc. The other way is that we work with our publishers, and the publishers will provide the resource free of charge. So that's why it was important that the 2-year rotation is very important, because they're only willing to do it for the one section for free every 2 years. And that source could be a physical textbook, a digital book, or software. So course enrollment sizes, of course. So a course for A.A.S, we typically call it block scheduling, and you'll see that when I share that schedule there. We do blocks, block 1, block 2, block 3. Now, just like any other schedule, the courses do have to make. So there are times when a course may not make. So a minimum cap size for an A.A.S course may depend on the discipline. So for example, English, I believe it's around 6 students. And then for B&T, it's typically 8 to 10. And what happens is we may split the coordinator may split the blocks up a little bit. And it just makes it a little bit easier for her to schedule. A maximum cohort size would be 25, which is about the same size of a full 15-week course in a B&T course. So in the B&T classes, it can depend on the classroom, but typically a course cap is 25. So here's an example of my keyboarding course in 2020 compared to 2021. So in fall 2020, this was the blocks. This is the cohort for A.A.S. And so my first block of students, I had 6, second block 7, and block 3 was 4. Now in fall 2021, we didn't offer the A.A.S keyboarding, but we had 2 full 15-week sections. They both, I shouldn't have said they were both full. One was full with 25, and the other one I think had 26 in it. So, but still, you know, those sections were both larger than the one A.A.S block. So some of the challenges to the Z degree. So we talked yesterday about faculty buy-in, right? I like using this quote: "If it's not broke, don't fix it." Because as a faculty member, you know, I could certainly understand why someone would not want to take the time to create an OER course, especially if, you know, their class is going well, they don't have any complaints about the course materials, their pass rates are high. You know, why would I want to take that time if the only thing you can tell me and offer me is, well, it's going to be a value to your students because they won't be charged any course materials. You know, for some faculty, that may not be enough, you know, may not be enough. It's not mandatory. There are other options out there. So you have all of these things you have to contend with faculty. And I will say this: when I came in 2018, the big push then was the digital engagement initiative. So the courses under medical office were created using DEI materials. Okay, so that's like your McGraw-Hill Connect, your Cengage Mind Tap. And we also had another program under our cyber defense that also really took on to the digital engagement because it fit our programs. So you fast forward a little bit, and we have to even bring in HIPs into the conversation, the high impact practices, because some of our classes were coded because we were using those digital tools. So if I decide that I want to change some of those courses to an OER format here, how is that going to impact, what I've done under HIP? So those are some of the considerations that faculty across the campus have to consider, but definitely under the business and tech side here. So then right after the DEI, push, we had the OER push. So even OER was still being talked about in 2018. It was almost like that was that new concept, but it was kind of quiet, right? And then we had that big push over the summer of 20 that really started to pique a lot of interest. Now, yesterday, I think the librarians mentioned in their session about money. Well, there's some money out there at Motlow to develop OER. So there is a little bit of incentive, right? And then, of course, there's another grant out there. But of course, with grants, you have to apply. You have to be able to meet whatever deadlines, those whatever they're expected you to do. You have to meet those hurdles there. So there is a little bit of money. So I can't really say that may be a challenge for us, but certainly that is a thought that a faculty member would, bring up. Another challenge is just department collaboration to ensure that those resources remain free. Typically, this conversation would be with the department chairs, maybe the dean, and then also the publisher, book reps. And that's important because, the chair position is not a permanent position. This is a temporary assignment. And, when I leave, I'm the current department chair for business and tech. So when I leave, someone else is going to come in, when, the humanities chair leaves, someone else is going to come in. So you have that revolving door there. And if those conversations are not taking place, then, the ball could potentially drop, and then you have the, oh my gosh, we may have charged a student something and we should not have. So we just have to make sure that all of those boxes are checked. As the program of the Z degree, when students enter these programs, that we're doing them, what we said we were going to do, telling them what we said we were going to do. The A.A.S coordinator, she does a really good job of, again, building those schedules and confirming with the departments that we will be able to have coverage for those courses. And when we do confirm, of course, again, if that course does not make, then she has to go back to the drawing board and go back into the schedules to see when, the students will be able to take those courses. The book reps, you have to be able to have a relationship with the book reps. And I know in business and tech, we do. But, you still have to remind them sometimes about what's going on and hope that, when the courses roll around, it's that same book rep, because they will have an idea and remember what's going on. And then, of course, the other challenge is, again, we don't offer it in the full 15-week. And one of the reasons is because, of course, we wouldn't be able to comp, a 25. We had 3 sections of, almost 75 to 100 students. That's a lot of money. So we can't do that. And then another reason is because we don't have all of the full 15-week courses are not in the OER format. Another challenge is time. If a faculty member decides they want to create the course in the OER format, it's not a snap your finger overnight magical process. They have to, and if they're doing this, solo, they do have to go out and find the material that they're going to put in the course shell. Now, there are other pieces to that because department chairs are charged with the book deadline. So We have to be able to tell, the academic side of the house and the bookstore, right? What books we're using, what format, etc. Depending on when faculty decide they want to do the OER, is really a key decision, because you don't want them running into a situation where, here comes fall and they have not finished their creation, and now they're forced to use whatever they used, last fall. And now you're into the new school year. How likely are you going to be switching the book in the spring? Probably not. So it definitely takes planning on their side as well, so they're not, backing themselves into a corner. Because once they finish OER development or any type of course development, it still has to be audited by them, and then by the chair, and then by another dean and another dean. So, there's that rigmarole there. And then finally they get a payment, and then we can release that course shell. So it takes time. Everybody has, there's no mandated schedule there. So I think the ownership is definitely on the faculty member as to hitting, what they determine are those key deadlines. So future plans. So obviously we still want to continue to convert courses into the OER format. But again, as time permits. Two, I think, is really one of the most important ones. We need to continue to strengthen the collaborations, especially between the chairs and even the deans, about the Z degree and what needs to happen when these courses are coming around. For business and tech, I know one of the courses that's not currently OER, but falls into the Z degree, and also in our full 15 weeks is admin 1308, which is office procedure. So that is a course that's one of mine that I definitely want to convert to OER. So any questions? I actually want to share. I'm going to stop sharing, but I want to share again. I want to share the A schedule real quick so that you guys can get a look at it. Let's see. I'm going to share this. All right. Can you guys see the A.A.S schedule?
Yep, we sure can.
Okay, thank you. So this is for the next cohort, okay? And we use the term cohort a little bit loosely because, yes, the students can come in together. However, we know things happen. And so who you started with may not be who you finish with, so to speak. So this is the next, starting in the summer semester of 2022. And so this is where it gets a little bit challenging when you get into the courses for the business side of the house, when you get into courses that are not, under business, because, you are at the mercy of, whoever the chair is or the departments here in the other disciplines. And so I'll just kind of scroll down so you can see. But look at the format here. You have different formats. All of them are not, Zooming. The ones online, and so quite a few of the business are already developed in OER. And then some of the gen eds are, again, also OER, but there are still some little outliers here. So just to give you an idea. And again, this is also on our website. And I also want to give you another example. This is a good example. So you see this course here, Admin 2390 Capstone. So the students that are in the A.A.S programs all have to take that course, right? So the course is only offered in the spring in the full 15-week version or courses programs. So we know we get students that sometimes miss that course. So an A.A.S, of course, is offered every 2. So if the A.A.S rolls around in the summer and we have students that will need to graduate in the summer or they want to graduate in the fall, if the A.A.S 2390 is available, the coordinator will, we will act with the coordinator to see if the students will be allowed to take it. So this is again, one of those exception courses. Even though the student may not have ever been in the A.A.S program, we do allow things like that, of course, to serve the student and to make sure that they graduate on time.
Okay, if you have any questions, feel free to type those in the chat. But as you're thinking about the questions, the one that I sort of wanted to start with was, you mentioned that this zero textbook cost program is only in the A.A.S program. So can you talk more about sort of why you picked to only do the zero textbook cost program in the A.A.S program? And then also sort of how doing it in the A.A.S program has sort of bled over and changed maybe some of the offerings in the non-A.A.S part of the program?
So we only do it in the A.A.S one because the class sizes are smaller. Again, you may have a block of 5 versus 4 sections of keyboarding that may have 75 students. So if it's a course where we're going to have to approach the book rep and comp that cost, they're more willing to do it in our A.A.S program because they're not comping for as many students versus again 75 to 100 students in econ 2100 or so speak like that. So it's easier on them if we have to go that route in A.A.S. And then also we have more our OER courses. We have a lot more under the A.A.S than we do in the full 15 weeks.
You mentioned time as one of the challenges to making OER conversion. Do you have a sense for what sort of the average time it takes to convert a course, either in the 5 or the 15 weeks, from traditionally published materials to open educational materials?
Well, it can all depend, because if there's already a source out there that has a book that's OER version that you can use, then that's going to be, you can probably convert it a lot quicker than if you have to start from scratch and there's absolutely nothing. So it depends, definitely. Oh gosh. So if you're starting from scratch, that could probably take you a couple months for sure. If you've already got a resource out there, this summer maybe.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, okay. The last question that I have is, when you think about the ZTC program, do you have a sense for what percentage of the courses that are offered are OER courses versus comped by the publisher courses?
Ooh, that's a good question. No, but I can find out. Yeah, I can find that out. So if you can email me that one.
Okay, yeah, no worries, no worries.
So that we can get that one. It's a good question.
Okay, another question. So if you think about other institutions, community colleges or other institutions adopting this model for similar programs, what do you think that would look like? Is it something that other schools could adopt? What would they need to do to make it happen? How could other schools sort of make their own ZTC programs?
So there are other community colleges that have it. I don't think there are any in Tennessee, but I did see some that are out there in other states. Um, Man, you'd have to have some conversations with your deans, whoever's over the programs for sure. Um, you are thinking about the time. What courses are you trying to convert to OER? Again, and what all is needed when you teach that class. So, for example, I would love to convert keyboarding to OER, but one of the challenges that I find is that, how am I going to what tool are my students going to use that I'm able to kind of track, so those are the type of challenges that you may have. Right now I use a digital tool where I can go in, look at the progress. But, you know, again, if I want to convert that to an OER version, I'm not sure how I would be able to do it and still have a quality course.
You mentioned conversations with the dean. What kind of things do you think would be worthwhile to bring up in that kind of a meeting?
First of all, the idea that you want to convert more courses. Again, course development is on faculty. The dean's not going to do it for you. um, but definitely that you're interested in, converting more of your classes. And one of the challenges there is that, let's see, you have OER format, you've got online format, and you also have a ground format. So this is at Motlow. And not everybody is the same developer maintainer for those formats. So Ryan, if you're, the online developer and I'm the on ground developer, we may disagree on, hey, well, I like my textbook. You say, hey, I want to do OER. Well, it would be nice if we were on the same page, because that would be a lot easier, of course, once you do the conversion. We can either share ideas or at least agree on the resource and go from there.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right. There's a note in the chat.
And Julie has something I want to comment on too. Do you? Oh, they could, Julie. They could. Yeah, but of course, those conversations with the book rep would be, important.
It's Christine has a note in the chat that says the Z degree entrepreneurship emphasis is OER with the exception of 2 courses. So it looks like 3 courses, sorry, including intro to business. So that's a pretty good percentage. Awesome. Well, let me pause and give another sort of opportunity for folks to enter questions in the chat. So if you have anything, please post a question in the chat. But otherwise, let me just say, while you're thinking, this has been a really interesting presentation. It's from my perspective, it's interesting to think about the way that OER and other free options join together in a program, a complete program, and to think about the benefits that provides to students. Oh, maybe one other question that I had that I was thinking about is, how do you guys market the 0 textbook costs to students? Do you find that to be a significant, I don't know, marketing tool for students to get them interested in the A.A.S version of your programs?
Maybe not necessarily just to get them into the A.A.S version, but we do, when they register for classes, there is a little note there when they pick the classes, 0 textbook costs. I think that's what it says. And then even for other class, textbook required. So they do see that when they go in to pick the course. And since the A.A.S coordinator would probably be the first point of contact for those students in the A.A.S program, that may be something that she says. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I think that is sort of the end of the questions that we have. So Tracey, just thank you so much for your time and for sharing your experience and expertise with us today. It's been really fascinating to learn about this program and to think about how we might replicate stuff like this across Tennessee. Just super interesting. So thank you for your time. I think that I'll commit Tracey to this on her behalf. But if you do have a question, we'll hang out in the room here for another couple of minutes just to make sure we get all the questions answered. But otherwise, I think that if you don't have any questions that remain, I think we're good to go. So thank you all for attending. Thanks, Tracey.
Thank you, and please feel free to email me if you need me.
Appreciate that.